Hey. Hello, hello, hello. Should be on that one. Yes. 1 second. There we go. 86. Welcome in. Welcome in. 1 second. 1 second. 1 second. Going to get things going here. All right. All right. Sing up here, and we are almost ready. It's gonna get people in here first, of course. Hello, hello. There we are. I think we're good on sound. All right. Well, we are starting off with some Ukrainian news today. So I guess we'll get started here. The overlying topic today is the factor of Russia has committed more war crimes than you can count. We'll get to all of it. However, I would like to point out that a attack on a thermal plant, I think it was, or some kind of warehouse, where 6 died and 14 were wounded. We can get to that. We also got some videos of that a little bit later. Rockets the size of Mount Everest fucking dropped upon Ukraine today. However, there have also been some greater news. A lot of tanks and personnel was destroyed today, and also an explosion occurred in Sevastopol, which may have been a military target we're not aware yet. Helicopters. Russians shut down one of their own helicopters. Surprise, surprise. So, overlying topic here, we've got it all. Right. Well, I guess we'll just get started with it all. Okay. Explosions are heard in Sevastopol, and something is already on fire. Crimean Bridge is also blocked. However, Sevastopol is not anywhere near the Crimean Bridge. It is blocked, apparently. We expected because the Russians apparently lied about the fact of the bridge is actually being opened. But that's another point. So, sorry. Here you have it. This explosion occurred today here in Sevastopol. We don't know what it exactly was. It appears to have been something big. Boom. It certainly was something big. Continuous explosions, it appears. Maybe some kind of ammunition depot. Sound like there was multiple explosions, and that kind of, kind of implosion up. That kind of like, oh, it's going upwards. Yeah, that's sort of. I mean, you can hear the multiple explosions. So there's some kind of munition kind of going off in the background there. You get the location as well. Sevastopol, location somewhere along that. Near the harbor as well, we saw water, so it could be some kind of harbor target. I'm not aware, but of course we'll look into it. Some more funny news coming up here about the Russians. I found this really funny, but first of all, we're gonna get to Zelensky first. We are gonna watch here. Zelensky has coming out. He came out with his updates today, so we'll get that going immediately for you, so you can get caught up to speed, and we'll be right back after.
Дорогі українці, українки, передусім щодо російського удару по терміналу нової пошти під Харковом. Рятувальна операція завершилась, необхідна допомога надана усім постраждалим, загалом їх 17. 6 людей вбиті цим ударом. Мої співчуття рідним та близьким загиблих. Ми обов'язково відповімо Росії на кожен прояв її терору і на цей удар також. Нічим терористи не зламають українську волю захищати і захистити свою державу, свою незалежність. Готовність людей працювати заради своєї держави, заради своєї України. Готовність битися, щоб ніколи в Москві не було жодної реальної підстави сподіватись, нібито Україна колись зламається. Не зламається, вистоїть, витримає і попри все вижене російське зло зі своєї землі. Головне це фронт, наша оборона, наші дії, наші результати, допомога кожному та кожної тим, хто зараз в бою, на бойових постах, на позиціях. Щодня потрібен результат для України. Вистояти проти російських штурмів, знищувати окупантів, рухатись вперед. Хоч на кілометр, хоч на 500 метрів, але вперед щодня, щоб покращувати українські позиції, щоб тиснути на окупанта. Це додає державі сили, це мотивує весь світ допомагати нам. І це доводить, що терор Росії не спрацює. Сьогодні я хочу відзначити саме таких наших воїнів, які проявили себе особливо цими тижнями, воїнів, які особливо допомогли Україні на різних напрямках, у різних завданнях, але однаково потужно, однаково результативно. Куп'янський напрямок, Харківщина, воїни нашої міцної 57-ї окремої мотопіхотної бригади та 1-го механізованого батальйону 67-ї окремої механізованої бригади. Я дякую вам. Просто молодці. Авдіївський і Мар'їнський напрямки, особливо жорсткі, численні атаки росіян, але наші позиції захищені. 53 та 110 окремі механізовані бригади, 59 окрема мотопіхотна та десантники, 79-ки. Я дякую всім вам, воїни, за дійсно зразковий захист. Те, що додає впевненості всій країні. І щоразу це честь для мене дякувати воїнам 55-ї окремої артилерійської бригади, яка активно та ефективно допомагає всім нашим хлопцям обороняти Донеччину, Лиманський напрямок. Дякую за зрив планів окупанта. Наша 68-ма окрема єгерська бригада та підрозділи славетної 95-ї окремої бригади ДШВ, молодці хлопці, Бахмутський напрямок, і оборона, і наші штурми, і наші результати. Дуже непогані. Я дякую воїнам 92-ї окремої штурмової бригади та 93-ї окремої механізованої бригади. Я дякую за вашу силу, хлопці. А серед усіх напрямків на півдні я хочу відзначити особливо десантників 46-ї аеромобільної бригади, Мелітопольський напрямок. Дякую вам, хлопці, за те, що своїми результатами ви дійсно допомагаєте усьому фронту. І наступний тиждень додасть ще можливостей для України, для нашої оборони, для нашого захисту від російського терору, для нашої формули миру, яка продовжує об'єднувати світ. Я сьогодні говорив з еміром Катару, подякував йому, зокрема, за готовність долучитись до наступної зустрічі щодо формули миру, також за незмінну підтримку нашої територіальної цілісності та суверенітету. Говорили і про посередництво Катару у звільненні депортованих та полонених українців. Дякую всім в світі, хто допомагає Україні. Я дякую і усім в нашій державі, хто кожен день використовує так, щоб ми усі, увесь український народ, стали сильнішими. Слава вам всім! Слава Україні! Дорогі українці,
Oh, and
українки,
there you have it. Yeah. There you have it. That was Zelensky with the news from his point. Yeah, things are going great. Things are still continuing to go great for the Ukrainians, and we're happy about it. Ukraine reconnaissance spotted what they claim to be a Polutorka, a 1930s pre-World War II gas AA truck used by the Russians to assault Ukrainian positions south of Andivika. You actually have a video of it as well. So it appears to me that the Russians have picked up a new tactic of, using World War I trucks.
Йобана мудозвокіна нахуй, дивіться на чому штурмує, пацан.
So apparently they've picked up a new
Йобана
tactic
мудозвокіна нахуй, дивіться.
of working. Look at what they're using for the assault lats. Look carefully. Assault on Pervomishki. And fucking okay. Turn down it.
Полуторки
Yeah.
їбашуть. О, пішла
He's saying-
арта наша робота.
You say Bluetooth car.
Зара нахуй, блядь, и зажигалка буду
That's the
говорить,
trucks
нахуй.
right there. These trucks are from
Какая
1930. You think we're living in 19
И тут
fucking...
опять в сторону алмаза.
What? You think we're in World War One, but we're not.
Якісь безсмертні, нахуй.
I mean, Jesus Christ.
Де пиздець?
Pre-era World War II. These not even World War II. These pre-era World War II. Where do they even find those? What I wonder, which is it's fucking hilarious, the fact that they're doing it. I just wonder exactly why and how they even found that. Because finding that and finding that in mass numbers, I mean, are people just still driving around in that bullshit? Because if that's true, god damn, Russia's behind. We called it a first world country, but in reality, we have realized that they're not a first world country. What they are is a fucking bullshit country, isn't it? So, enough of that. I do have the exact produce date. So it's a Russian storming Adivika direction with infantry on Turkey gas AA cars produced in 1932. Now, do they work? Sure, they work. Witchy, welcome in. Have you seen my news, Witchy? This right here is the new Russian AA gas-powered car. It's from 1932, and the Russians have just used it for an advanced Anandavika. 1932 cars. Now, yeah, do they work? Could they travel a person back and forward? Sure. But the littered fields of Ukraine, not only the potholes, I'd imagine that would be a hard time. You have 45 minutes, gotta do a Facebook Live tonight. Oh, okay. Fair enough. Fair enough. But, you know, the factor is, it doesn't take... Yeah, they're real for sure now. Yeah. It doesn't even take, you know, the most standard amount of explosives. You'd be lucky if you got a drone over that with a goddamn grenade. It's out of business. And if, you know, I just don't understand the idea behind the factor of what the fuck even is going on nowadays. Because why did they even find it? Where did they find it? You know, that's my problem with it. But we have millions of wounded. In Russia, they are starting to guess something. In one of the videos, the priest named the numbers of the Russian Ministry of Defense so corruptly hides from the people. Calculations are already appearing in C publics. If there are millions wounded, then according to the military mathematics, there are 3 times less, about 300,000. However, they are saying that millions are wounded. Millions of wounded may be an overstatement. I'm not sure, but we're nearing the million mark. Probably, can't really know. I mean, dead numbers of soldiers. We're nearing the 300,000 official, and that's according to the military officials right there. And that's according to some sources as well, saying that the dead numbers of soldiers, which is still high, by the way, it's 300,000. Those tires, yeah, it's very old tires. I mean, we can't understand this guy. This guy right here, right? There's not an English translation on it. However, he starts just going through, explaining that what he's saying, this priest right here is saying that the numbers is wrong. So a priest, which is thought to be a very holy thing in Russia, he's still not coming out and saying that, you know, the Russians are lying to you. It's not true. So Hadi, my point of view here is that, well, while the Russians appear to may only have lost 300,000, the numbers played off in Russia may have been played down to numbers way below 100,000, which led many people to believe that the war was won or was winning. Many people were probably also told that the Russians were near Kiev, which is a blatant lie. I mean, if you count being near Kiev about being 1,000 kilometers away from Kiev, then yeah, you're near Kiev. But you know, if Russia, I'm sure 1,000 kilometers away from something, that's near to the Russians. You know, Russia is kind of big. Migrants who managed to obtain Russian passports were detained and brought to military training center directly from the Moscow Mosque by bus. So to the mosque, which is the holy place, right? So there are all documents. All the documents were confiscated and they were sent for a medical examination. They're currently being asked to sign a contract with the Russian Minister of Defense. Otherwise, they'll be stripped of their citizenship, deported from the country, and face a ban of re-entry. Wow, really? Yeah. Oh yeah. They'll 100%. Here's what they're saying that they're gonna do. They're gonna strip them of citizenship and kick them out of the country. You know how much that costs to kick that many people out of your country? They're not gonna kick them out of the country. Here's what the Russians are gonna do. They're gonna tell the public that, these people weren't complying with the contracts that they were given, free and fair, blah blah blah, bullshit, right? And then they're gonna say, so we kicked them out of the country. By kicking them out of the country, 100% they're going to be kicked into mass graves. And then you tell me why. You say, oh, that's not true. Or the gulag. Yeah, 100% kicked to Siberia, probably. They're not just going to kick out free working forces right here, right? But that's for another point. Here it is. Now, these are refugees, migrants and all that kind of stuff that was picked up at a mosque, which is, the, how do you put that? Not a church, not the regular church. Well, they're holy place, right? I said the holy place, right? And driven to a military center, I believe. Conscripted. They're being conscripted. And that's also another point I want to point out here. That the Russians 100% are taking minority groups and sending them into the war. Because if you go to Moscow, the numbers of people in Moscow actually being brought to the war is predominantly less. I mean, there's pretty much no one who's been brought to the war, which is, You read this? Yeah. And there's pretty much no one who's being brought to the war that's from Moscow. The reason why is, where do world leaders go when they visit Russia? They visit Moscow. So it's vital to Russian President Putin that Moscow looks good and that there's people there, and also people in Moscow, people just out of Moscow and the areas around that, are thought to be, well, the real Russians, right? The so-called fought for real Russians, at least according to Putin. Now everybody else outside of Russia, which is thousands and thousands upon kilometers, you're like being Russian now, yeah. Yeah, I don't know why they would even be there in the first place, but yeah. So St. Petersburg also have been known to be an area that was less conscripted. All the people that are living in these areas just across the border from Ukraine or from Europe, many of them are not being conscripted. You go further into the country, the villages that are living across the near the Caucasus, down here and over towards, the Middle East and down towards Asia, these minority groups, which is, well, while not being minority groups, I mean, the factor is, these people that Putin called a minority group isn't really a minority group, because there's more of them than there are of actual Russians. Russia is only a faction. This is Russia. That's Russia right there. That's the... when you look at where the Russian territory really is, this is Russia right here. The rest of that is technically other own territory. And over here, you have large vast of lands that are owned by people that are predominantly looks different towards what you'd imagine a Russian looks like. Many of them, of course, Asian. I mean, you go down towards here, the people that live in that area, many look Asian because, well, they live in Asia. And many down here who look Middle Eastern because, well, they live down towards the Middle East, and over here and over there, many who live up in Siberia. Those people who live up in Siberia, those are the most predominantly Russians. You have people who live, of course, down towards Moscow, or most of them are also Russians. But majority groups, which is the more majority of those who are being sent to the war, Russia is not only trying to cleanse out Russia of the so-called minority groups, they're literally trying to kill them off, which is such a ridiculous thing to do, but that's what they're doing. Today, we go on here. Today, the armed forces of Ukraine destroyed the enemy radar Supark worth $10 million in the Traviva direction. Alexander Shchupun, the spokesman for Travilla Direction. Looks like this right here, and these are one of the equipments that the Russians really wanted to keep, because these equipment right here take a lot of money to make, and they are, $10 million in rubles at this point is, a lot of money. And, it takes a lot to make these, and the components that go into making these radar systems are quite vital. Some things that the Russians, those are the things that the Russians have leased off, I mean, they have a lot of metal, don't get me wrong. The Russians 100% can produce metal. I mean, they have some of the vastest majority of metal and oil and all that stuff. It's not the problem of being able to supply their tanks and with fuel. That's not even the problem. The problem is those components. The electronic components, which they're not being given because obviously we have sanctions on them, which is the main point. That's good, right? So the factor is that the more radar and the more expensive equipment that we destroy, which is what the Ukrainians are targeting right now, is radar station, things like that require technology that the Russians simply don't have. Well, at least right now, because while the Chinese are known to not be giving them anything in that sort, we believe that the Chinese are not giving them anything of that sort. However, it's hard to really know what the Chinese are giving them. But yeah, so again, we keep this up, and the Russians, the only thing they're gonna have to rely on are satellite, which the Russians doesn't exactly have that much amount of satellite, and the fact that they even work, I don't really know, but yeah. But that's more than that, of course. Latest defense intelligence update on the situation in Ukraine. Recent Russian assault in Andivika have contributed to a 90% increase in Russian casualties recorded by the Ukrainian Ministry of Defense. Since February 2022, Russia has significantly increased its force footprint on the ground in Ukraine by intensifying recruitment using financial initiatives and the partial mobilization conduct in autumn 2022. The increase of personnel is the major factor behind Russia's ability to both defend held territories and conduct costly assaults. It's likely that the Russians have suffered 150 to 190,000 permanent casualties, killed and permanently wounded, since the conflict began, with the total figure including temporarily wounded, recovered, and due to the return battlefield is some battlefield and some in captivity in the region of 240 to 290,000. This does not include Wagner Group of their prisoner battalions who fought in Bakhmut. Sorry, these things are very clubbed up. But the fact of what they're saying is the Russians have increased their numbers of losses by 90%, which means every time they go for an advance, that number of Russian soldiers, per day, because they've gone for these deadly assaults throughout the last, weeks, and so have increased the number of casualties per day. The how do you put it? The average casualties per day has been increased by 90%, they say. And that's true, because we used to have a casualty rate of about 500, 600. Now, what we're seeing is an average every day, because the Russians are throwing senseless numbers at the Ukrainians. The Russians have losing up towards 900 to 1,000, which in their eyes is about a 90% increase, which is actually true when you think about it, because you go from 500 to the, obviously, I don't know, the math comes from them, right? I mean, we also had one day where they destroyed 1,380 troops, which means that was a significant increase. That was actually double the amount of numbers that they usually have, just above that, actually. So, think about it. It's not a good time for the Russians right now. They're increasing their numbers of casualties by so much that they don't feel very good right now. And one of these components that I'm talking about, these rockets, by the way, the Russians are increasingly relying on things like rockets from North Korea, Iran, which aren't known for their technological advancements and, equipment quality. And here are one of the things that happen when you get components from countries like North Korea and Iran. you go back to 1930. The rocket goes up, the rocket goes up. In reality, the Russians would have cut off the video here, but if you see something wrong with this, yeah, it goes back down and goes off. Now, the equipment that fired that off, that's gone. The soldiers probably in the area that fired that off. I mean, imagine if, I mean, I don't know, hard to imagine they got away. Vehicle stored next to that, gone. I mean, it's pretty big missile. It's a pretty big missile. I don't know, I actually don't know what that is. The caliber or something. I mean, it's just ridiculous. And you think that the Russians are winning, right? I doubt it. I doubt it. I doubt it. Ukrainian pilots are undergoing training. Ukrainian pilots undergoing training, nearly ready to fly F-16s. The first group of Ukrainian pilots are almost ready to move from F-16 flight simulators to combat planes. Air Force spokesman Yuri Ihnat said in the televised address on October 22nd. Ukraine Forum reported. Sorry. So they're saying that the Ukrainian pilots now currently in different countries across the continents, in Europe and in the US, are the first batch of those, so the first people that got there, the first people that started training, are actually almost ready to start flying F-16s into combat missions, which means that we could be seeing actually the F-16s coming to Ukraine very, very soon. Now, the first batch of F-16s were promised to be in Ukraine in December, so it does seem very likely that they're going to keep that schedule. They said that they wanted to get a lot of F-16s, and they said they were going to get those F-16s into Ukraine by December. Now we're getting some reports, and these reports came out today, that the first batch of soldiers are already very close to being done training. So could we see some of the first ones moving in November? Could be. However, I'm still expecting a start of that in December, where we could see the first batch of F-16s, which is going to certainly help the Ukrainians win the war. Get air superiority, and, it's going to be a great time for the Ukrainians when they get that going. It is certainly a happy day for that. Russian losses as of October 22nd. So the Russians almost lost 1,000 troops today. So 980 troops, so approximately, which means they could have lost 1,000. We don't know, actually. Approximately to be confirmed. They could have lost 1,000 or less. Hardly to know, right? 19 APVs, 13 vehicles, 18 tanks, 15 artillery systems, 9 UAVs, 3 MLRS, 1 special equipment, 1 anti-aircraft warfare. The factor is, I don't know if they're still on the advances. I've heard about the factor that they may still be pushing in the area around Andavika, which has been, they're still throwing lots of numbers at the area in Andavika. However, nowadays, because we know that they're conducting these extreme measures of counterattacks, whenever you see the drop in tank numbers and APV numbers, it could be a very, very big sign of them launching something. So watch out for tomorrow. They could be actually doing something stupid tomorrow. It's also known that the Russians, I'll get to see a little bit later, but the Russians, in fact, have shut down one of their own helicopters. So again, the Russians are having a good time. So that one's probably going to go up to 325 tomorrow. I think so. But, I mean, at least I've heard many reports from people saying the Russians have shut down one of their own helicopters again. So it's going to be, it's a good time for the Russians. It's a great time. Russia recruits over 20,000 individuals each month for the war in Ukraine, GRU representative said. So over 20,000 are continuously being brought in through various means every month. This includes recruitment among prisoners, debaters, and certain less reliable population categories. So people who aren't necessarily needed in the population to make the country run. Well, yeah. We're not talking about volunteers here. The conscription of draft continues as planned, recruiting including with financial incentives, or if a person doesn't sign a contract, they're promised some sanctions, he stated. Sanctions meaning, you know, probably either going to prison or not being able to live. I don't know. Yusuf noted that the aggressor combat widely practiced forced contract signing with former military personnel. So supposedly, they summon you to the military enlistment officer for a checkup, put down a contract, and in principle, the person doesn't leave afterwards, because otherwise they threaten with some kind of criminal prosecution or life problems. Meaning, you know, we're gonna go after you, which is some kind of, well, I'll get out of that. It's kind of hard to read because it's direct translation from Ukrainian, I think so. But what I'm saying here is that the Russians, you know, what we know here is that the Russians, I'll talk about that before, of course, taking those minority groups and moving them to be taken in and be prosecuted and pretty much prosecuted and then forced to sign a goddamn contract to be sent to a front line where their expectancy of life is very, very low. I mean, the amount of training they get, you know, when you think about it, they send 20,000 soldiers a month. So that means they're not exactly training those soldiers, because if they were training those soldiers, that numbers per front would be a lot lower, because they would need time to actually train those soldiers. In World War II, you'd had 6-week training program, which that was also the reason why many of the U.S. soldiers were so great compared to others, because they were given these 6 weeks to actually train. You know, Russians aren't. They barely know how to fire off a gun, and you've seen videos coming out. These Russians, they don't know what they're doing because they're not given proper training. So yeah. Maria Druska on Twitter. Go check her out. She talked about that. So this is a nice plow. I don't know what it is, but I seem to think that the Ukrainians are living in the goddamn future. Now, I've never seen this. I'm not a farmer, so I don't know if this is a thing that's widely used. But for some reason, the goddamn Ukrainians nowadays in this world are living in a goddamn future. This is a drone-operated system. And we believe the reason why they're doing it is because of the threat of minefields. I believe that thing is a mine-clearing how do you put it? Mine-clearing tool. Sorry. But you do the front thing as well. So that's also to put it down to the front. I don't know why he hasn't done that. Maybe he's already done this area here. But yeah, it's just wild to me to see, because this thing is not like small. It's actually quite big, and it appears to be remote controlled. Looking at it, I mean, when you think about that, that is pretty impressive. When you think about the fact that that's remote controlled. I mean, doing farming in the future, especially with technology like that, it's going to be a lot easier. I mean, think about this. You get a fleet of these. I don't know how much they cost. They probably cost a lot, which is some of the problems, right? But you get a fleet of those, right? You could yourself be plowing one field and then set off, you know, bunch of these guys in another field. They could be plowing for you. You could plow all your fields in one day and you'd be done. Like, that's the future there, and that's efficiency, and the Ukrainians seem to be able to adopt those. I don't know if other countries are adopting. I mean, I don't know. I think that thing probably comes from another country, some country, I don't know, maybe Germany. I'd imagine German technology is probably that advanced, but I don't know. I mean, Jesus Christ, right? That is pretty good. This is how the UK says goodbye to Ukrainian brothers in arms. Oh yeah, I saw this video here. I thought I'd share it with you. This is the Ukrainian soldiers going off. So this is when they are done, because they're obviously being sent to the UK. They're trained in the UK, in other countries as well, Denmark, Germany. We know they're in Germany as well. So a lot of European countries are training them, especially in the UK, where they train them a lot. So here they are, being sent off here, back to Ukraine, back to fight, properly trained. Look at that. That's just respect right there. I think many of those are also Ukrainians that are probably still training. Many of those are British, but many of those are Ukrainians still training. Yeah, that's definitely British right there. You can definitely see the factor. They're wearing the hats like that. That's on a British. That's a British thing right there. It's just cool to see, you know. I mean, the Russians certainly don't get this kind of send off. Are lined up. I don't know. I probably do this for every batch they send out. So that's pretty cool. And yeah, those auditors tell you that they in fact are in that area. Now, I talked about this just a second ago. A Russian MTV-5 has been shut down by Russian air defense. This bad boy right here has been shot down by Russian air defense. Now, do you think, is it operated by the Ukrainians? Did they do a good thing? No. You see that star in the background there? Yeah, that's because it's operated by the Russians. Now, I do think the Ukrainians operate these, but as far as we know, and as far as many channels are telling us, the Russians shut down one of their own helicopters with air defense. Just like they did with many of the planes heading over their cities. You know, cities, their jets heading home. They used, they shut down a helicopter, they shut down a jet, they shut down, well, whatever they can shoot down, you know. Then they think they're doing a good job, because obviously they think that the Ukrainians are conducting helicopter attacks deep within Russian territory. You know, the Ukrainians they would be able to do it, but they're not that dumb. You know, I mean, yeah. Ukrainian's postal service Nova Poshta published a video on X Twitter on October 22, capturing seconds before the Russian missile struck the post office. There's a post office. So we got more on this as well, but so this is what happened today. Now it's known that 6 of these people, don't know how many of these people you see right here, but 6 of these people supposedly passed away. 14 were very wounded, so there could be more casualties coming up. The current rate of those being in a hospital, of course, if they're unstable, you know. So keeping an eye on it, of course. So yeah, I think I got it down here somewhere probably. I'm gonna show you that. Oh, I got it. All 6 dead and 14 injured as a result of the Russian strikes are employees of the Enterprise who were inside the Nova Poshta terminal. The victims age between 19. Oh, what's going on over here? Look at that. Oh, that's Zaporizhia. That's the kind of lighting going on in the background. Oh, saw that. Donetsk right there. Something going on in Donetsk right there. Received shrapnel wounds and blast injuries. Among the hospitalized, 7 people are in moderate condition. Another 7 men are in serious condition. So that's what I was saying before. Them being in moderate condition means that they could pull through in a just working on an all day and bam, gone. Yeah, exactly. No reason. I mean, it's a post office. There's absolutely no reason. It's a post office. They're not going to exactly do anything to the war. But, so, moderate conditions, right? And another in a serious condition. The ones you've got to worry about are ones in serious conditions, obviously. Doctors are fighting for their lives and providing all the necessary system. The pre-clearance is underway on site. This was announced by the head of the regional military administration, Ole Shenin-Kyobov. So we got the video for it, and we're going to skip a little bit forward in the video here because I made a bit of a blunder not putting it up there. By the way, that's Maria Duskra on Twitter right there. She's the one I got some of my news for. Go check them out. But you can definitely see the name right there. Terminal. This is their terminal. That's a container right there, or some kind of truck maybe. But yeah, you can see it got completely destroyed. There's definitely a truck area right there. That truck appears gone. I don't know. But yeah, There are extended videos of it. However, I'm not exactly going to show you the extended versions because the extended versions are a bit more graphic. These are the versions that I can show. So that's pretty extreme right there, and there's absolutely no reason for it. It's a post office, completely blown out, windows blown out, and what I know of as of right now is the fact that it's simply the reason why they did it. Nobody really knows. Apparently, the Russians just wanted to, which is fucking yeah. But we'll move on. Of course, we're gonna honor those in a minute. I'll get to that. And Avika, give us the tools and we'll finish your job. Like old Winston said, send everything. Like old Winston said, send everything Ukraine needs, and every Russian soldier will be moved and sent back to the shithole in Russia. That's not me writing that, by the way. I didn't write that. I was a Ukrainian soldier publishing that. I think. Look at this. So check it out. This is Ukraine. And that this will be Ukraine. Alright, well they didn't exactly say that. That was the poster did it, but they're flying around there flexing on Avika. And Avika is one of the areas that are completely surrounded. When I say completely surrounded, I mean in certain ways they are surrounded by the Russians. However, being surrounded by the Russians is kind of like being surrounded by soft tissue. You're gonna punch through it eventually. You know. So, yeah, it's yeah, man, yeah, and I love the fact that they're really proud of that. And the NDVK is certainly Ukrainian and gonna continue to be Ukrainian for the foreseeable future and forever. I'd say so. Ukrainian BMW X towing a M12 100mm anti-tank gun. So I saw this video here and I was like, what the fuck is happening here? This is apparently a BMW right here towing not your average BMW, you know, the Mercedes, well it's not Mercedes, but the low riding one, you know, the clean one. Is that a little older version, however, but coming up, right? And it carrying a goddamn anti-tank gun in the back of the car. You know, you can do it. You know, certainly these BMWs, that's certainly some kind of off-roading vehicle right there. Because it's got some torque power driving around with a goddamn anti-tank gun on the back. But apparently it's a true video. And apparently that's how some of them are moving it up. Well, you know, you got to get pretty inventive sometimes. I mean, let's be honest, you know, in World War II, they had cars that they used to bring their guns up with. So I mean, what's the difference today? You got a car that can tow some stuff. Why not do it? You know. Top news today: Orks about Berdyansk and Luhansk airfield. K-52 7 destroyed and 8 damage, and Mi-8, which is the helicopters, 2 destroyed, 7 damage. Russian friendly fires, which I talked about before, helicopters. A lot of helicopters, a lot of vehicles, a lot of launch systems, all that stuff, all being destroyed because of the fact that we've delivered ATACMS. As soon as Ukraine got the ATACMS, they immediately put them to use. And the reason why they immediately put them to use is because the Ukrainians knew what they were going to what they were going to do with them. They had the coordinates. They knew it exactly. All they needed was the actual thing. And when they got the thing, which you know was the ATACMS, they immediately put it to work and started doing some cool shit. So yeah, which by what I mean cool shit is yeah, get stuff. And also the Ukrainian military received a batch of Canadian Senator MRAM armor vehicles. MRAM armor vehicles. They look kind of like SUVs, like with a lot more cool look to it. You can look it up. Canadians are also doing a lot for that. They're doing to Andivika what they did to Bakhmut, and Western countries still not enough support for a victory. Well, yeah. So I think it's ridiculous as well, because this is the factor of us saying, you know, we're doing everything we want to help Andivika, and we're doing all that. But the factor is we still don't want to provide the necessary air defense systems that they need for able to protect the cities that they want to protect. I mean, this is Andavika. This is a video from the inside of Andavika right here. Them driving around inside the city here, or at least the skirts of it, or you know. I mean, look at everything is just simply destroyed. And you remember Bakhmut, which I showed you some time ago. You know, videos coming up from Bakhmut that was just showed every building and everything. I mean, this is war right here. Things get destroyed. However, I think if we were to give them the proper means and the amount of proper means that they need, I think that limiting this amount of damage would be, I think, we think practically, right? You give them the amount that they need now to protect the cities and the things that they need to protect, which is vital for the infrastructure. The amount of money that we need to pay them in the end to rebuild would be substantially less than the money that we need to just pay, you know, if we gave them the amount that they needed now. And I think giving them the rockets to destroy a rocket trying to take out a building, it costs a lot less to give a rocket than it does to repair a whole building, you know. I think thinking about that, you know, you have to put it in perspective like that. Repairing a whole country costs a lot less than just delivering a batch of delivering some good air defense systems, delivering some more Patriot missiles, delivering them enough of that so they can take out those drones and rockets that are landing. It's not a hard choice. You just got to do it, you know. But yeah, economic-wise, that's why I don't get it. You know, economics. They're so focused on economics, but how come that you're so focused on goddamn economics, but you're not even what? You're not even gonna want to deliver what, half of what you want? No, that's ridiculous. The 71st Jaeger Brigade of the Armed Forces of Ukraine destroy a Russian 279 Nona. We got a lot of videos. There's a lot of videos coming out of Ukrainians as well as today, destroying a goddamn bunch of Russian equipment. So check it out. Here you have it. These drones right there, I actually believe are American drones. They're delivered to Ukraine. I'm pretty sure they are. Look at that. They use some kind of launch. They use a launch system right there as well. Apparently yeah. So let's also take a good look at this. I mean, we are analyzing this. So this is the Russian trenches right here. You can take a look at that. I mean, you know, it's quite a extreme view when you think about it, because this is the trenches that they dug right there. Kind of like a zigzag movement right there. I believe the reason as to why they dug the zigzag is so that if they're storming that direction, they can go over here and shoot it that way, or I don't know. I mean, I guess that's just the way they build it. It's kind of extreme when you think about it, you know. Taking a look at that amount of trenches they built. And a close up right there. There you have it. That's an APV right there. Nona. 2S9. God damn, that's definitely destroyed. You know? Ah, there you go. That's 100% destroyed. That doesn't feel good. Oh, it's smoking. Look at that. It's definitely smoking. And then it comes back. Lands safely. And tomorrow, or an hour later, they're going to use another drone. They seem to have destroyed the back tail of it. Or maybe I'm just... Is that... Maybe they just replaced that. That's... I don't know. That looks pretty bent. But maybe they just replaced that. So maybe they're meant to be destroyed, the back wings there. But maybe they cost nothing to replace. Pretty cool. Pretty cool. I mean, that's, you know... Took a bit of a rough landing there, but I guess that's what they're meant to do. Over the past day, the occupiers continued shelling the Donetsk region. 3 civilians were injured, said Ihor Muras, acting head of Donetsk RMA. As a result of the shelling, a house in Novokarinka was damaged in Anavika. Houses on 4 streets were damaged. A house and two infrastructure objects were damaged in Tortsk in Konstantinivka. Sorry, 3 private houses, a gas pipeline, and electricity network were damaged. I got a video or pictures of it, maybe. I got pictures of it. This is pictures coming out from Ukraine. I mean, you can definitely see. Look at that. I'm not sure that's the inside of a house or that's the street, but it looks like molten lava, right? It's just an extreme. That's the house. Definitely see the fire happening around that house. Is there? Those fires are just destroyed. Look like abandoned buildings, but they're not. They're actually residential buildings. That one as well. See the fire took place. Definitely been fire inside of it. That's probably taken during the night or doing with the fire, so it's more rampant because that looks extreme right there. So that's the Russians for you. Shelling everything that they see, no regards to what it is, and just doing whatever the hell they think is right, which is not right. Russians are making drones of unspecified type with engine purchased on AliExpress. There are remnants that reveal that they are made of. There are remnants that reveal what they're made of. In fact, they have acquired engines from AliExpress. This isn't the first time they've drafted these stick-built aircraft and launched them towards our country, as stated by representatives of the Ukrainian Air Force Command. Despite this, the drone carries several kilograms of explosives on board, making it a significant threat. So despite how bad quality it is, I mean, you order an AliExpress, which is, by the way, which is, by the way, I want to point that out. That's a Chinese company, AliExpress. I'm pretty sure that's a Chinese company out there, obviously. Oh yeah, so it's okay. So this is the Ukrainian commander. There's no English translation on it. So actually, I forgot about that. But yeah. So what he's saying in the video there that he's describing exactly what they're made of, and he's saying it. But I've actually got a video a bit later where you can actually hear them doing it. But we'll get to that. Don't worry. Ukrainian soldiers going to and returning from some wounded the occupiers left bank of Kherson, time unknown. Now, the people in this video right here, there are no one dead in the video, and I just want to point this out to YouTube if you think I'm showing some kind of violence or condoning it. No, I'm simply reporting on factor of what's happening in Ukraine to educate people on the factor of how this war looks like. People in this video are not dead. They are wounded. There will be a little bit of blood on a person's face that you may see. If you do not like blood, please turn away. I will warn you now because it's going to be the end of the video. The major part of the video is just them walking around, checking out the landscape. There will be a small bit where you can see some blood. If you do not like blood, if you really throw up from it, please look away and come back in about 3 minutes and 30 seconds. But it's very minimal. It's very minimal. I mean, it's very minimal what you're gonna see. It's just them returning bodies. It appears. It's apparently this is it recorded in the occupied left bank of Kherson. So left bank, obviously, the day to take back. There you go. Look at the equipment they got on. I mean, that's top notch right there. You definitely see that that they've been in boats because that's life jackets they got on. Yeah, I speak Ukrainian. Sorry. I think he's just saying what they are. Wish they had an English translation on that. It'd be nice to know. We know they are conducting. One of the things, sorry, I'm pausing here. One of the things you might want to look at is the fact that they're wearing life vests. Not, well, I think they may be Kevlar. I'm not sure. But the fact that they're wearing life vests that can be used for the water is indications that reports of earlier, which I have confirmed through many sources, believing that the fact that the Ukrainians have crossed over and are trying, or at least are in cities like Poima or stuff like that, which is actually on the right bank of the Kherson, the occupied area, which indicates, or some things we've talked about before, I've talked about before, of the Ukrainians crossing the Dnipro into the left bank and actually taking back areas. So yeah, you know. So I think you see, I think they got the vest underneath, so that's just life vest right there. They got a vest underneath the real vest. There's a lot of kilos they're wearing right now. They're really equipped, you know. There you have it. And there you can also see that they're operating on boats, which is another point. Which is another point. Look at that. Look at that as well. I don't know who's filming this, but they've gotten really good at filming. You know? Blocking this as they're crowding across there. We got the reconnaissance going right there. You know, they just got cameras on it. They did a reconnaissance going. Yeah, you see that. Camera. Oh, and then he's got grenades on it as well. There you go. That's the Ukrainians right there for you. They do a lot of groundwork. Let's think about between the Russians and the Ukrainians. Not only do the Russians, well, many times not have this sort of equipment, but the amount of groundwork the Ukrainians do before they actually launch anything, and the amount of thought and effort and reconnaissance they put into things really provide what we're seeing about these successes and these, you know, the Ukrainians aren't, in many ways, not really an experienced army when it comes to amphibious assaults, but they're become really, really good at it, which is examples because they're putting so much effort and work into the idea of their ground offensives and the reconnaissance that they work with. You have it. So they went across. They're probably coming back with some wounded there. And there you have it. He's wounded right there. He's not dead. More wounded back there as well, as you can see. That's, you know, this man appears to maybe be shell-shocked. It could be something. He could be shell-shocked. I mean, this could be the reason why he's shaking so much. Or he's cold. That's also another thing. I mean, people, you know, if he's cold, could also be cold. I mean, he's wearing all the things right there. You know, that's the reality of war there for you. Now, the blood part pace is coming up now, so if you don't like blood, look away now. Look away now. You can definitely see that guy's got blood on it. If you don't like blood, look away. It's very little, but there you go. He's also gone. Probably got his... Looks like he got his jaw knocked out or something like that. But they survived, as far as we know. But that's reality of war there for you. But they're gotten really good at it. And it's educational purposes, YouTube. So it is educational purposes. But yeah. I mean, yeah. The destruction of the concentration of enemy personnel by special forces of the 1st Detachment of the Omega Special Purpose Center of the National Guard of Ukraine. So, okay. Here you have it. This is when they operate in the dead of night. You know what 1 hour looks like when you operate in the dead of night? Here you have it. These are Russian troops moving up here in a column. You think they don't know what the hell's going on. They can't see out there. The Ukrainians can see them. You know, the most annoying thing in war is that when the enemy can see you, but you can't see them, which is happening right here. The Ukrainians can easily see where the Russians are. The Russians, they don't know shit where they are. There you go. And then they fire off a stinger, a rocket, something. The Russians still don't appear to be extremely aware of that's coming, but there they are. Now they're aware, which is too late. You see the back line there panicking, running backwards. Yeah. And that's the, partly many of the reason as to why the Russians as well are losing so many numbers in ways like this, is also because they simply don't have the equipment to fight in a modern warfare. Modern warfare setting is many times operated at night, which means you need night vision. Not only you need night vision, you need infrared. You need things like that where you can conduct assault. Now the Russians, they do have that. Don't get me wrong, they have it, but they don't have it in mass numbers. And the soldiers that operate simply, they don't run around with night vision. Now, not every Ukrainian soldier run around with night vision, okay? Not every Ukrainian soldier is out here running around with night vision. That's, you know, that's ridiculous. They're not doing that. But who is running around with night vision is the many of the troops that you see, especially infrared vision, which is some of the things that they're using in Ukraine. And I think the Ukrainians have gotten so extremely good at doing that. I really love it. I really love it. But yeah. So what are you doing, Step FPV? So that was a statement. So that was a Twitter account right there. Well, sorry, not Twitter, but a Twitter post right here. So especially Curse on Cat, one of the great sources here. But this one right here, I think, is the video of an abandoned howitzer or tank, something like that. Oh, that. So you could definitely see it's abandoned. Abandoned. The back doors is open. This is the Russians for you. They left the back door open. Meanwhile, they know the Ukrainians can just come in with a drone and directly smash that thing out. But that's exactly what they did. They left the back door open, and that's what happened. They flew directly into it. It probably cooked off the ammunition inside of it. Fucking brilliant. But that's the Russians for you. For getting to goddamn close to getting close to the door. That's a big spot you got in your life right there. The trophy capture technique of Russo is similar to the force near Crimea, I think. Crimea or something like that. I don't know. But here you have it. This is the Ukrainians. They've captured a tank, and in World War II, when the British would capture, they've only captured one. In World War II, they only captured one Tiger tank, and when they captured that, everybody was so fascinated with the capture of that Tiger tank, because usually the Tiger tanks would get destroyed because the Tiger tank actually had, because they were so vital and the equipment inside and everything, it was so much more advanced, and the Ally wanted to know exactly how it worked, and so they could figure out armored shells, or even maybe build things like it, or at least build things that could penetrate it. So they wanted to figure it out, but usually those tanks would get self-destroyed. But this time, the commander of that said Tiger tank, when it got destroyed, or at least put out of action, forgot to click the self-destruct button, and the British actually captured it. It was so famed that the king, battle commander, and everybody, and even Winston Churchill actually went to look at it because they wanted to see the famed Tiger tank. And that was also one of the reasons they actually led towards the British figuring out many features of the Tiger tank that not only could improve their tank, but also could improve the way that they took out Tiger tank. But yeah, and then they had a famous picture of it. On the picture, it actually said under new management. And this is also what's happening here. This C tank, the T90 probably, or something like that, is now, or T72, I can't really say, but it's under new management, as you can see. I don't know if they're going to take it. I mean, it does occur to me that the Ukrainians are taking less and less Russian tanks. They are taking them, but they're taking less of them because they realize that, while it's good to have a lot of tank forces, it's also much better to simply just have your newer tanks, because those Russian tanks, well, they're not good, And many Ukrainian soldiers simply don't feel safe riding around in the Russian tanks because they don't know the quality of it. Is it going to explode? They don't know. What kind of shells do they have inside the tanks? What kind of ammunition is inside of the tank? Is it North Korean? What do they have inside? Is that ammunition safe? They don't know. So they don't actually like it. So many actually have said that riding around in the Russian tanks is actually some kind of a curse for them. But some are doing it. And some have been upgraded and looked through and replaced with Ukrainian shells and all that bullshit. So, yeah. That was a little bit earlier in the war as well. Ukraine drowns. So the Air Force of Ukraine stated that Ukraine downs 3 Russian drones, 1 cruise missile overnight. Ukrainian forces shot down the shaded kamikaze drones and guided K-59 cruise missile that Russia launched against Ukraine overnight on October 22. The Ukrainian Air Force reported. The ISV, Russian forces are struggling to hinder Ukrainian supply. Reinforcement in eastern Kherson Oblast, Ukrainian ground forces have reportedly engaged in efforts to secure the village Krynik, Krinky, some 30 kilometers northwest of the Kherson and just 2 kilometers from the Dnipro River, the ISVW said. So I think it's either across from the Dnipro River, which is another thing they're talking about. So they've already taken some villages. They could be trying to take more. In the temporarily occupied Crimea, in the area of the guard fire, the local media reported. So the temporarily occupied Crimea, in the area of the guard fire, in the area of the guard fire, what? Okay, so what he's trying to say is in Crimea. This is in Crimea. That's what I meant to say. Doesn't really make a lot of sense, but there you go. In Crimea, there not only was there an explosion in Sevastopol a little bit earlier, but there has been now reports of a massive fire, or at least some kind of fire taking place. I don't know what it is. I got no idea if it's an ammunition depot or some kind of. It appears to be 2 fires, or it could be a military base, some kind of, but it's certainly Ukrainians that have done it. Or it's Russian sabotagers, which great stuff, right? But we don't know what exactly happened. All I know is that Crimea is not having a good time right now. The American BMP M2 Bradley is in service with the Ukraine armed forces of Ukraine. This has got a picture of it right here. So this is the BMP M2 Bradley in the service of the armed forces of Ukraine. You have it right there. That's the tank of BMP that they're using compared to the BMP that the Russians are using. This one's much better. And well, there's also said that the armor is much better. So it's again, feeling comfortable being inside of the thing, the space and everything, being comfortable inside of is one thing. Because then, when you're confident and you're also comfortable with the idea that the tank not only works in your favor, but it also protects you. It calms your nerves, which makes the Ukrainians so much better at fighting. The reason why they're so much better at fighting in many areas is because they're riding around in modern equipment that makes sure that they've got the upper hand in most areas, and also they're much more confident and much more calm because they know that the Russians can't respond with something that is, in many times, in many areas, the Russians can't really respond with anything that's good enough to take out what they're riding around in, because they're simply so far away. And the Russians, they don't have anything, that really works to. Well, they have things, obviously. I'm not gonna say they haven't, but in most of these scenarios, riding around that BMP or the tank or the Bradley or the Abrams, you're gonna be having the advantage. Destroyed and knocked out Russian tank that stormed a position. Glory to our defenders. So right here, nobody's dead in this video here. Just want to point that out. But here you have it. This is somebody walking in the Ukrainian trenches, or probably Russian trenches, taken back. I don't know. But there was a Russian tank tried to storm the positions. Again, the Ukrainians, so differently than ever, took it out. And apparently some kind of piece in the background there. You're missing a piece, bud. I look at some kind of AK-47 with some kind of suppressor right there. Look at a stinger or something maybe right there. Yeah. Kind of relaxed, walking around. Oh, that was nothing. Good old tank. More Russian tanks destroyed. I don't know if that was recorded today, but it was recorded sometime. Not all heroes wear capes. A volunteer comforts. Yeah, something like that. A scared and war-weary girl who lives near the front. So this is one of the videos here, and I really feel for that, because being a young girl, or being anybody who's young, not having the understanding of really what's happening. People say control your emotions, and I feel like every time they say trying to control your emotions, what do you? I mean, you can't tell a kid to control their emotions, because they're very, oh, look at her crying. It's the little things, right? No. So that was such a great video. Yeah. More things. It's given to a girl, and she lives I believe so, the video says she lives near the front lines. And some volunteer came by with a lot of stuff for her. Coloring things, all kinds of things. She cried. when you have... Sorry, I'm going to talk after it. Was you giving the whole box? Oh, you was, actually. I didn't see that. I didn't see the end. I wanted to save it. But yeah, and board game as well. When you have very little, and many of the things that made your childhood a childhood get taken away, and you then see this happening, you can only imagine if you get, how do you put it, emotional, or not just emotional, but in many ways, how do you put it, happy. Yeah, the little things, right? A Ukrainian FPV drone destroys a Russian Book M3 anti-aircraft missile complex. Interesting trace from the FPV at the moment of the defeat. Visuals similar to the accumulated stream of the ATGM or Smart M55 bonus shell. So what he's saying is that there's, yeah, I don't really understand that, but he's just saying it's similar to an MM5 smart shell or ATGM. So anyways, what it is, it's a Russian Book M3 anti-aircraft missile that was taken out by something that cost maybe 9 million less. Here you have it. Take a look at it. Oh, you spotted, buddy. You spotted. You spotted. Uh-oh. Is that it? Really? Maybe it is. You know, that complex, especially, right? That complex right there is, look at that. It came in right there. That I don't think was the drone. That wasn't the drone. I mean, that couldn't have been the drone. But, you know, well, maybe it was, and maybe it kind of, maybe that was the thing firing. I don't know what the fuck that was. In the end right there. Maybe something was fired off because it hit the target or something. But, yeah. You know. It's amazing, you know, because they're taking out, Ukrainians, again, taking out systems that cost $9 million, $10 million or more. And the Ukrainians are taking it out with things that cost a few bucks. The FIM 29th, well, I can't, the FIM 29th? No. 92 Stinger. There we go. From America is in Ukraine. Well, it's been in Ukraine for a while. Hadn't seen it for quite a bit. But here you have it. This is a FIM 92 Stinger. Take the cap off. Get ready. He's got one too. Alright. Spotting around. I'm not aware what they took down. Some kind of airborne system. I'm not even sure if they took anything down, but it's just to show you that they are working with American equipment in Ukraine. Which, I mean, we knew that, but I just want to show you that they're still. This is how it looks like, you know? Precisions of how they're firing. So, yeah. Well, the video didn't show anything firing at, but other than that, educational at least. So I was talking about the factor that the Ukrainians are using drones. Sorry, not the Ukrainians. The Russians are using drones made from AliExpress, or at least engines are. Cheaper drones, different drones. And the sound of the new Ukrainian... Sorry. Oh shit, the sound of the new Russian drone near Kharkiv. Sounds quite similar, however, also a little bit different. Not like a chainsaw, right? The factor is, they're cheap as shit, and they're shit. However, they work. Problem is, the Russians are figuring out ways to still get around the sanctions, still, to this day, make things that can be used against the Ukrainians, and target civilian buildings and all that stuff, from companies that aren't abiding by the rules of the sanctions put on Russia. Many countries have turned around and are actually supporting the sanctions that have been put upon that have been put upon Russia. However, some countries are still not, including China, which is something we knew. But yeah, I mean, I think it's weird. I think it's immoral, But yeah. Anyways, Ukrainian pickup equipped with an improvised anti-tailgating device, a TM62 landmine. So, I saw this video right here. So, have you ever been afraid of getting, somebody to drive on the back of you? How do you deter somebody to driving into the back of you? Well, I've got it now here. You put a goddamn landmine in the back of your car. That's how you stop somebody from driving into you. You put a goddamn landmine into it. TM62 landmine on the back of the car there. I don't know why he did it. I mean, it's a tailgate. It's a pickup with an improvised anti-tailgate. Yeah. So anti-tail. You don't get it. You don't want to have a tail. You put a goddamn mine on the back of your car, and you put a mine in the back of your car, and a landmine, and you don't have a tail. That's true. So the American M109 Paladin howitzer making invader puzzle in Ukraine. So this is an American howitzer because America, Just, why America? Because America. Here you have it. Oh yeah. I got the utility shells coming up here. I'm gonna turn this off. But yeah, look at it. America. Love it. Love it. Love it. Self-loading? I mean, not exactly self-loading, but it's got the system in itself is self-loading. Like that. But holy shit, There's American systems right there as well. And they're precision targeting. That's things blowing up around there. How does it feel to be an occupier standing on the other line knowing that you got an American-made howitzer aiming at your position? Because that American-made howitzer is not going to fucking miss. So, have you ever thought about how that feels? I certainly have, and I would be fucking terrified. Because it's one thing being on the other side of, having the Ukrainian side and then there's a goddamn North Korean made howitzer pointing at me. Oh, how afraid am I? I'm not afraid of that. I'll be honest with you. The reason why I'm not is because, they don't work, and half of the time they fail. Now, the American made, which has a dot failure of 2%, which means 2% of the time they fail, which is very, very low in military numbers. And I'd say that it's actually near zero. But yeah, the Ukrainians, with the equipment that they're working with, works, I would say, at least 100% of the time. Very close to it. Above area per reports. So, sorry. We have videos here coming out from Verbove, something like that. Is it in Ukraine? Like silent streak right there. Look at that. See that? Maybe it's shells or something like that. Look at that. Rockets or something. Alright, it hit the ground. What even is that? I actually don't know what that is. An anti-aircraft gun or something like that? It's firing off. They use anti-aircraft guns. Shells? No, it's not shells. They're probably midair. But you see some of them are getting destroyed, so I don't know if it's some kind of... It's obviously not rockets. Maybe it's rockets. Plasma? I don't know. But all you gotta know is that that's the reality of it. I mean, despite what they tell you, right? The fact is, the Ukrainians, they have... Have Israel invaded Gaza? I don't think so. Intense IDF airstrikes over the last hour on the central northern Gaza. Oh, I just thought I saw something. No, I don't think so. No. No. All right. We'll go on then. Yimarov thanked U.S. for ATACMS delivery over call. Defense Ministry Rustam Umarov thanked the U.S. Leadership for delivering a long-range Army tactical missiles, the ATACMS, to Ukraine during a phone call with the U.S. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin. So, Rustam Umarov is the Ukrainian Defense Ministry, and he called Austin Lloyd to thank for the ATACMS. And you're welcome, buddy. Well, I'm not American, but, you're still welcome. Welcome to Ukraine, Suga. 3D printers doing the good job for forecast the battlefield. As you see, hundreds of thousands of gifts are waiting for the Russian invaders to send them all to hell and bury them inside their trenches. Here you have it. So I put a comment up on this. What's the weather looking like in Russia, in the Russian occupied areas the next few weeks or next few days here? It's going to be very cloudy with a lot of steel rains. So the 3D printing, not only is it building houses and doing the Ukrainians a goddamn mad of here, but it's also apparently building mortar shells. See, they put the grenades on as well, but it's building mortar shells, which means they're conducting and building mortar shells that cost, well, basically nothing. I mean, they're be all the bottoms and everything is 3D printed. So what I'm saying here is they cost basically nothing to make. Very efficient, and are gonna rain down hell on the goddamn Russians. So, hallelujah. Another thing here, you actually have an E6 just outside Washington. I want to take a look at that. Look at that. We got an E6 just outside Washington. Take a look at this. We have a Ukrainian four-legged soldier here. This is actually a Russian trying to invade the Ukrainians. No, it's just a nice little video here for you to relax in. 1 second. Watch this nice video here.
Так, так. Все? Ты за рулем? Давай на месте стой. Давай. Вот, да. Ты знаешь, да. Ты же знаешь, куда едем, да? Да? Эш, нельзя. Эш. Ну?
As you can see, the Russians are working their best to try and take on the Ukrainians, but it's not really working. Their chief hasn't really come in yet. No. Operational information from the General Staff of Armed Forces of Ukraine as of 6 o'clock on October 22nd. Since the beginning of the day, the Kremlin terrorist forces have cynically launched another air and missile attack on Ukraine using the Kh-59 guided air missile, S-300 anti-aircraft guided missiles, and free shaded 136 and 131 type attack UAVs, so the drones. The Kh-59 guided air missile and free kamikaze drones were destroyed by air defense forces and air defense means civilian objects in the city of Konstantinivka, Donetsk region came under attack, as well as areas of the postal offices in I think it was a Donetsk area maybe as well, but the postal office also got on attack. Throughout the last night, the Russians conducted a mass attack across Ukraine, and it's gone pretty much pretty badly, but it still comes from some damages that occurred, and infrastructure was damaged. So yeah. 60% of Ukrainians still want Ukraine to keep fighting until it wins. The almost 2 times the share of the people who want their country to negotiate in the end of war as soon as possible. The percentage of Ukrainians who want to keep fighting has decreased by 10% since the 9th of 2022, while the percentage of those who want to end the war as soon as possible has increased by 5% in the same time period. Of those who want to keep fighting, 91% want to continue fighting until Ukraine returns all of its territory, including Crimea. Notable that is about 55% of the entire sample. So I'm not here to point out something here that, oh, they're not going to fight. No, what I'm saying is these data, not only is it based upon sources from within occupied territory of Russia, it also is based upon areas from the front lines. Now, imagine you live in areas like Kyiv or areas that are very, very well protected by things of air defense means, and you live far away from the front line. You're obviously gonna want Ukraine to fight that war, and I get it. I want them to fight, and don't get me wrong, I really, really want Ukraine to win, and I want them to fight on to the end so we can get the independence that they deserve. However, I will also say something, and I understand the concerns of many of those who do want to give up here. Well, not directly give up, but at least negotiate. It's because they're living in the front lines. It's the same with you and me, right? Despite the fact that some people are living in Ukraine, they're still living far away from that, frontline action. Many of them are. You and me, you live far, far away from the front lines of Ukraine. And I live, far. I live in Denmark. I live, but still quite far away. And, you can sit here in your home, and it's very easy for you to say, keep fighting on, to any cost. But for those who live in the front lines, for those who have seen a lot of stuff, for those who are shell-shocked, for those who are very, very consistently, hurt by the idea of war, I can understand why the factor is that they may want to negotiate eventually, because it's been going on for a while. And, however, their wishes, I hope not, will be met. I mean, it sounds wrong to say hope not will be met, because obviously we should be concerned about their wishes. I mean, the wishes are that they want to negotiate, not give up. They want to end the constant suffering. That's not a me pointing out here that the Russians. You know me, I'm very much pro-Ukrainian. I'm not sitting here to say the Russians shouldn't win at all. No, why would I do that? What I'm saying is, I think it's time for some of us at least to realize that it's easy enough to sit here 10,000 miles away and say, at least 10,000, 1,000, or 100 or something like that. Say that they're gonna keep fighting. You should keep fighting, but it's hard when you're at the front lines, when you're living in the houses in the front lines, hearing the constant shelling, living in fear constantly. It's gonna put a toll on you, and thinking straight, or even thinking in the direction of, all they really think about is the fact that they want this to end. So I can understand the concerns. I really would understand the concerns. But however, I think in the end they're going to be a lot more happy that Ukraine continues to fight. I really, really think so. So the Russian schools have adopted the Russian. Okay, actually, I just realized I can't show that. A few more fried today near Marinka. So there has been a little more Russians here that was fried, as they say. They were fried.
I have a friend.
Not only were they fried, they're still frying. That's like that howitzers. That one's also destroyed. And the reason why you asked me, that one looks destroyed. Look at that. That's the tire tracks on the tank. It may still work, but the tire tracks are back there. Probably drove over a mine or something. That back end of that one is driven out. You see the vehicles or the tires from that is also in the background there. So that's not going anywhere. You can't just ride on the wheels. That's not how it works. So all those things right there are gone. They're abandoned and gone. Many of them are still smoking. Probably still cooking off after exploding. So, yeah. Again, the Ukrainians, they just leave wreckage of the Russians. Because the Russians get completely destroyed because they're shit. Ukrainians. Here you have it. Look at that helicopter going on over. Be a pretty cool little thing there. Sorry, just a little concerned about copyright sometimes. Yeah. The video's, I believe, slowing down a bit. But, they obviously don't move like that. I mean, they move a little quicker than that, but that's just as far as the camera picks it up, right? It's pretty cool. I love it. I love it. Russians go boom. Got a video for you of Russians going boom. Now they're not saying boom, they're just going boom because they're blowing up. Look at this. Boom. Oh shit. That's the ammunition. First of all, they got attacked, and you think, oh, that's it, it's gone. No, but you forgot something. They've got ammunition inside, and there you go. That's when you're getting cooked off. Sorry, I had to do something right there. I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to keep playing it. Here you have it. But again, more Russians go boom. But this one's a bit differently. This one's showing them, tracking them along. Now, these are the convoys. This is how it looks like when the Russians do try and advance. So note one thing: when they come up, they come across the wreckage of the previous people tried to advance. Their cars are still there. They keep riding up. You see the howitzers and the tanks moving up along the APVs and everything. And then, of course, yeah, and there you go. Another big explosion happened. And that's ammunition cooking off inside the tank there. Everything in between that and everything got pretty much destroyed by the Ukrainians. So it hurts. It hurt. That right there appeared to be incendiary munitions or something like that. I don't know what the fuck that was. Oh, that's just things blowing up. All right. More things blowing up? Yeah, because they laid down mines. That thing doesn't know what it's doing. It's going to get blown up with a clone, I think. Oh, no. But look at that. That's all Russian right there. So if you're ever wondering, is the Ukrainians winning? Take a look here. Do you think they are? Yeah. And then you say, well, they're not showing us the Ukrainian losses. Well, because they're very minimal. I mean, the Russians' tank get destroyed because they have very minimal amount of because they have so minimal amount of air defense. But the Ukrainian tanks are running around in Abrams, Challengers. Abrams and Challengers and the goddamn Leopard, some of the toughest armors in the goddamn world. So, of course, they're not going to get hurt that much. Oh, we got a tanker in South Korea right there. Take a look at that. Yeah. And how many more? But yeah. Russians are getting destroyed. Ukraine's winning. They're trying to attack Andivika. It's not working. I'm going to bring you more on it. But I am going to let you watch this video right here. The reason why I'm going to make you watch this video here is because I think it's important to note to also respect the culture of Ukrainian soldiers. This is how a funeral for a fallen Ukrainian soldier looks like. And I thought I'd bring you all aspects of this war right here. And this is exactly what we're going to do. Arrive at a car. That's quite usual. I mean, it's very like ours, but there's, this is also very like a military funeral. Obviously, you might note this from some kind of a United States funeral or a Danish funeral, but any kind of military funeral really has that flag calling over it to grieving mother or, definitely a grieving mother right there. Family members or something. Grandmother, maybe that's the mother. Could be, I don't know. It's very like ours. The respectful part about that. So many people came up, and I'm not even sure if many of those are even his family. They could have just been military members or members who came to support. And I think it's sad, but it's also at the same time we have to remember that's part of war. I'm gearing you up here, guys. The Ukrainian defenders drove the Russian occupiers out of the western outskirts of Robotyne ICV. Since October, the Ukrainian army forces have continued their counteroffensives near Bakhmut and the west of Zaporizhia region. The general staff reported that Ukrainian armed forces continue offensive operations in Melitopol and Bakhmut direction. So Robotyne, Zaporizhia area. to push the Russian out of the western bank, southern bank, western outskirts, and we believe have at least are very close to having full control of Rapatani, and are very close to having control as well as the city down here, which I can't remember right now because I can't read Ukrainian. So we'll get to that all later because we are going to go on Deep State to look at it. But yeah, this is what we're fighting for. Another cool video here. So they're fighting for the fact of coming home to see their children, and this is exactly what they're fighting for. I really think this is great examples right there. She's saying Papa. There you go. Look at that. Clap, clap. Papa's home. Papa came home. Smells the flower. How sweet is she? I mean, you just know, these are picture perfect moments right there, but it's the little things. And I think, as well as I bring up one thing I heard before, and I think it's something I always remember. This Ukrainian soldier, he was asked, I mean, everybody fights for a reason, right? And everybody fights for, some people say, I fight for my country, I fight for my loved ones, and the factor is, some people fight for the freedom of others. And the Ukrainian soldiers, he was once asked that question, and he said, well, I fight for the factor that my daughter and my family can have a free world in which they live in that is free and independent and not controlled by the goddamn Russians. So that, I think, is a great way to put it. The Kraken unit recaptures a force belt from the enemy near Kupiansk. The Kraken unit. Here you have it. The Kraken unit right here. Got a BMP right there. So, this is near Kupiansk. Further proof to you that the Ukrainians are advancing. They're not just standing still. Making a grand advances. They're taking out everything the Russians have. Why push forward when you can take out everything the Russians have and force them to pull back? That's what the Ukrainians are doing. People think, oh, well, they're not moving forward. No, what they're doing is taking out everything the Russians have, making it so hard for the Russians to even stay in that area, to have them eventually just pull back and give land to Ukrainians, minimizing the amount of soldiers fallen. And this is clear proof right here. They're not pushing it in exactly. What they're doing is just, you know, conducting drills. Really, they're training. They're getting ready. They're getting ready. They're getting ready for the goddamn war that they're already in and that they're already winning. Spoof the Mavic of Russians and then shoot them down with a small arms fire. Smooth them down with a goddamn small arms fire. Look at this. There you have it. That's a drone right there. Spoof the Mavic. You see him fire at it. Oh, almost. Oh, got it. Get it. Get it. Almost. He's gonna get it. He's gonna get it. Don't worry. Oh, there you go. Filmed away, but he got it. Look at that. Going down. Precision aiming right there. You know. That's the Russians. The Russians don't even realize sometimes that they're shooting at it. Most people might have pulled away, but they decided, oh, you know what? We're going to stay in the same area and wait for them to shoot us down. That's the Russian spot right there. Patrick. Holy shit. Patrick, welcome in. Welcome in. So, what have we gone over? If you guys might have missed a bit. If you go back in the video a bit later, you might find it. Yeah, here we have the glorious Ukrainian soldiers. He's running around with his goddamn RPG rounds right there. Towing down some old Russian equipment. Yeah. Because they know it. 50 cal. Yeah. Right, I'm in mud. It's starting to get a bit muddy in Ukraine. I'll be honest with you. Winter is coming. Hey. Advancements. Soldiers working. They are the true heroes of tomorrow. True heroes, one and all. Fighting for the freedom that we enjoy. A soldier was killed by a car at a checkpoint at an entrance of Kyiv at 12:30 a.m. Reports the National Police of Ukraine. Because of the fog, the driver saw the truck too late, braked abruptly, failed to drive, tried to enter the far right lane, and ran over the soldier. He died on the scene. The driver was sober. Police said he was detained. Appears to have been a pure accident. However, we do have scenes. Well, we don't have the picture, but this is the car that the what appears to have been the soldier was driving. I mean, maybe, yeah, I think maybe that was the car that the driver was in, the soldier was getting, or something like that. It was something, but yeah, you can see the front of it, completely smashed out. Couldn't see much, but he smashed out, killed a soldier. Not a good time for anybody, really, but it's sad. And well, accidents happen, unfortunate accidents. I mean, yeah. Well, there's not much else to put it. I mean, it happened, so can't put it on anyone else. A grandmother comes to her two sons' graves every day and cries. Oh, look at this. I found this video right here. I thought it was really, really sad here. Check it out. Oh, what? Sorry. I got it. I got the video. It's just sometimes Twitter is a bit weird about that kind of stuff. You hear her cry, so she's got the bicycle still right. She's standing right there, and every week and every time she comes to cry for her son, you hear her. It's her grandson, probably, or husband. I don't know. Probably grandson. Not a good time. Not a good time. Training of servicemen, giving them the opportunity to improve tactical skills, promoting the team cooperation, and developing compliance and response to the stressful situation. This is simulation of combat operation helps to increase combat readiness and improve the level of professional training of the military, which is an important aspect of ensuring the efficient performance of tasks on the battlefield. This is a video of some Ukrainians performing tasks and drilling on the battlefield, or at least near it. Take a look at it. It's a pretty cool video, actually. Yeah, and as you can see right there, appeared to be, maybe it was like, I think it may have been, sounded like it could have been airsoft rounds or something like that. Maybe, I don't know. Put in text, can I FaceTime you or you can FaceTime me? Well, Patrick, FaceTiming people that live in another country costs money. I mean, it's not that I don't want to spend that, but, what do you mean information? What do you mean info? Why can't you just put it in text? Remains of destroyed Russian M52mm self-propelled howitzer Mastat S. Oh. This is another Russian. So, if you can't see, it used to be a howitzer here. Now, it's gone. Another howitzer, down. Artillery system. Howitzers, artillery systems. Another proof for you. I just want to give you all the proof I can that these things are actually being destroyed. Lovely background, and where it used to be a howitzer. Obviously, it also means that the Ukrainians, some Ukrainian took that picture in an area where the Russians were, but now aren't. Again, further proof that the Ukrainians are advancing. Units of the R-Tank group destroyed a Russian tank with a Carl Gustav anti-tank weapon system, reportedly in the Andavika direction. Here you have it. Another cool video here. I got a lot of videos for you guys today. I don't know, a lot of videos came out today, so I want to give it all out. There you have it. Boom. Yeah, you got it. Boom, boom, boom. Firing around in there. Give me hell. Get somebody's goddamn gun and start firing and hell burst in there. And a lot of money. Oh, it's a replay, sorry. Yeah. Okay. Ukrainians. Hoo-ha! American volunteer combat medic Beckham Koreraski, I think her name is, as she rendezvous, however you say it, with a Ukrainian M113 ABC armored personnel carrier that was carrying wounded Ukrainian soldiers from the front line. Look at this. Rendezvous. So that we have it. You got a medical sign on it. It's carrying personnel. Now, I want to ask yourself, what is a true patriot? Is a true patriot the one who fights for what part are you talking about? Is it Ukraine or is it something else, Patrick? So you don't ask what a true patriot is, right? Is it somebody who fights for their country or somebody who fights for freedom in its totality and fights for independence? I'd say it's the one who fights for the independence. True hero, American volunteer, combat medic. There you go. Ukraine. What exactly could be so important that you can't tell me? Is it some kind of nuclear bullshit? Because I don't buy into that whole nuclear bullshit. Ukrainian soldiers fed some mice and now he's got many friends in the trench. I want to show you this. I've got mixed opinions about this. I mean, yeah, I think it's cool. Like, you gave the mice food, right? So it's coming up to your trench now. That comes up mice. Oof. Ugh. When I get mice isn't the brass. Isn't the brass point of it. Well, if is it chemical stuff, Patrick? Can you just send me a text message on Twitter if it's anything? Send me a text message on Twitter. German Minister of Defense expects additional expenditures for Ukraine in 2024, which are distributed as follows: 880 million for air defense, 675 million for armored vehicles. No? Well, then I can't help you, Patrick. 390 million euros for innovations opportunities, 935 million for defense equipment, and 2.3 billion for combat readiness and survivability, repair, spare parts, and logistics. A lot of people has currently been after Germany, but in total, Germany is one of those who's now planning to give Ukraine enough to fight for about 50 years. So I say, Germany, I think we need to lay off. I mean, everybody was like, oh, why the fuck haven't you given Tyrus missiles? Try Tyrus cruise missiles. So, yeah, the only thing the Germans didn't give them was the Tyrus missiles. Pretty much everything else has been given them. And they're only ones who are out there delivering tanks. They were the one delivering tanks. They've been a little bit hesitant because of their, well, let's be honest, old history. But they've picked it up. 600, 900, 300, an amount that totals to about 5 billion euros. So Germany in 2024 is mounting their expenditure of this war about to close to maybe 5 billion euros, which is pretty good. D-Tech restored electricity to 45,000 families that were left without electricity due to shelling. The company's press service reports 3 days for 3 days, energy workers actively worked in Donetsk region and repaired energy equipment damaged by the enemy. Thanks to this, it was possible to restore electricity to 25 settlements, D-Tech's writes. Or D-T-E-K. D-Tech. I call it D-Tech. So, they've repaired or restored their electricity to 45,000 families. Pretty cool. Pretty cool. About 2,600 Ukrainian citizens have returned from Russian captivity since the beginning of the full-scale invasion. Yusuf, according to him, recently there has not been the same dynamics as before in terms of the number of exchange and the number of returned ones. Russians, once again, they're giving out the best. They're being annoying. Russians are being annoying. Can you guess it? Can you guess it? Rescuers in Sumy region spent the whole night searching for a woman born in 1931. With the help of search and rescue dogs, the Immaculate Lady was handed over to the doctors. I love the stories with a happy ending. We don't have a lot of them these days. It was reported out by somebody who has reported on Ukraine, this guy right here. One like the good stories. Antonov Geroshenko, I think his name is. I don't know. He's a pretty good guy. Good story here, but here she is. They found her. So I don't know if you heard about the story of her being gone, but I certainly did, and I'm happy to hear they did actually find her, packed her in, and she's alive. And while not being in great condition, she probably cold. She were handed over to the hospital and probably, hopefully, gonna survive. Let's hope that. These people who risk their lives to save animals deserve to be seen, and that's why we're gonna see them. We're gonna see them. So, of course, there's a lot of animal rescuers going around here in Ukraine, because the families of these dogs, well, in Ukraine there has been, of course, stray dogs and all that. Many of the families that used to own these dogs, we don't know if they exist anymore. You know, so that's also another thing. But also, getting them away from the front line so they don't walk towards the Russians, because the Russians, they use them for food. That's not even a joke. They use dogs for food, and that's not a joke. They've shot dogs and eaten them. It's no joke, you know. It's true enough. And that one's. Let's see, that thing fell over. It got stuck probably or something like that. But as you can see, that house is gone. Family's probably gone. We don't know, but yeah. Cats. All these animals won't survive. We had shelling again these days in the houses. Yeah. And then, you know, families are gone. Food are mostly gone. I mean, there's nothing really left there. I thought no one would bring them. So they're being transported, probably back somewhere else. That one appears to be still recovering. Many of them who may have been hit or damaged or injured, taking proper care further into the country, and I respect that. Let's move on to some US, EU, UN, and NATO news. Breaking news. The UN won't... Okay, so the US has today come out with a statement stating that they won't hesitate to act in case of a Middle Eastern conflict escalating. Eastern conflict escalating. The Austin Floyd, the U.S. Army is ready to act if new participants appear in the conflict between Israel and Hamas. This was stated by the Pentagon Chief Floyd Austin. ABC News report, if any country or group seeks to expand this conflict, my advice is to not try to do so, Austin said. Well, that's goddamn cold. Ukraine's turning red here in the background, as we can see. So, we're going to keep an eye on that. In Paris, two young men poured gasoline. Paris, two young men poured gasoline and set fire to the front door of an apartment of an elderly Jewish couple. The Paris prosecutor office opened an investigation into the fact of causing damage by dangerous means for religious reasons. The suspect, Mohammed B, was sent to psychiatric hospital for evaluation. So here you got the picture of it. So this store was set on fire by what appears to may have been anti-Semitism or anti-Judaism, anti-Semitism beliefs, and therefore, well, they were Jews. And it's such a weird world to live in nowadays. The fact that I thought the idea of us harassing Jews and all that stuff was gone, but apparently it's still a thing to this day, you know? And not only are we doing it again today, which we did so many years ago, but the fact that we fought for the factor of, well, getting the Nazis gone, seriously, was it in vain? No, it wasn't. It wasn't in vain to get the Nazis gone. Let's maybe not point that out. Getting the Nazis gone was some of the best things we ever done. Complete respect to it, but I just, you know, it's ridiculous because it's, you know, having this idea that we fought so hard for something that all of a sudden just is allowed, or you know, yeah, it's hard to explain, but you trying to get it. A C-146A Wolfhound, registered 123085, currently with the U.S. Air Force and previously linked to the CIA, is right now airborne over Egypt near the border with both Israel and Jordan. This type of aircraft is used by U.S. Special Operation Command for the deployment of small teams and cargo. Yeah, so we got a picture of it here, right here. And this thing, which I looked it up, it is used for cargo and small teams operations, but it was over Cairo. With this, oh, sorry, near, what was they say? Near airborne over Egypt, near the border with Israel and Jordan. Again, this was also pointed out to the factor of them helping out if anything was to happen. So, is it them helping out, or what is happening there? Hamas terrorist attacks and Putin's illegal invasion of Ukraine show the importance of deterring those who seek to inflame global instability. Defense Secretary Grant Sharps and Secretary of Defense Lloyd Austin in Washington to deepen our joint efforts to protect global security. Grant Sharps and Lloyd Austin, those guys, they've got something. Check it out. Lloyd Austin is in the UK, or I think so. Biden, Israel-Ukraine success vital to U.S. national security. U.S. President Joe Biden reminded American citizens that the continuation of support for Ukraine and Israel remains vital to the U.S. in particular, calling it a matter of national security, and it is, I think, in many ways, or. In many ways, it's a matter of security around the world and a matter of continued safety. Yeah. The U.S. has transferred at least one, possibly more, verifying squadron of strategic B-1 Lancers from the base in Texas to Fairford base in Britain. Each bomber can carry 50 tons of bombs, has enough range from Britain to Lebanon, Iran, and back. Got a video of it. And this video right here I'm not sure if it's picture of them landing or whatever it is, but this is how they look like. This is a B-1 Lancer. It's a bomber. It's fast. It can do it works. And from Texas, we actually saw one take off. On ADHB, I actually saw one take off. And it went from the launchway to Britain. Look at that. Oh, it's such a machine. I mean, it's really a machine. Looks like the... What's that thing? The, Can't remember it. I mean, it's also loud, by the way. I want to point that out. I mean, if you couldn't hear it for the music, I had it all the way down here, and you were barely able to not get your ears ripped off. So yeah. Good morning, my friends. Right. Oh. Okay, let's try that. Okay, so I accidentally put some Ukrainian news down here. I didn't put that, so I'll get that to you. Sorry about that. Sometimes we mess up. This is the good morning to my friend. This is a Ukrainian fighter jet right here flying across the sky over Ukraine. I always love seeing it, you know. Must be one hell of a job. Must be one hell of a job when you think about it. It really must be. I mean, it looks amazing to do. A dangerous job, one hell of a dangerous job. But however, when you got it, when you go in there, when you're fighting in those advanced jets right there. Well, those are not the F-16s, of course. However, they are Ukrainian. One day we'll probably see videos of them flying in Ukraine in F-16s. I got a little bit of disturbing news here. This right here is a crater created by about 500 ton bomb. Dream job for views. Yeah, I mean, dream job when you get for views. That's definitely, yeah. Some kind of shaded drone dropping in Odessa just took place. But this is a crater left behind of a bomb, and Russia dropped 36 of those just yesterday. Now, it's important to mention, this was probably dropped on some kind of soft field, so that's probably why it left behind such a large crater, but that's a Ukrainian soldier, and this is the crater that left behind. So that's another point of view, that this is what the Russians are using against residential buildings and citizens of a country, of an independent country, right? And while there are bombs and allowed within the international community, they are destructive and, well, should probably not. The work of the Tu-80 trophy tank on enemy positions right here. Close range. Well, very close range. Check it out. Ready, sit. Go. He's aiming it up. Yeah, it's definitely tracked something. Seeing something. Boom! God damn, that is a tough engine right there. You can see the aftermath as well. Probably hiding in that tree line. The Russians have been known to use these patches of tree lines to use as a hiding spot. I mean, it's the only natural thing to do. I mean, obviously, because, well, they do provide cover and being able to hide inside of it. However, they're so thin, and while the Ukrainians having much better equipment are able to target these things with extreme accuracy. So I very much look at that and think, God damn, you know, that one right there has got to hurt. It's got to hurt. More U.S. troops to be deployed in response to Iran. U.S. Secretary of Defense has announced an increase in the positioning of U.S. forces in the Mediterranean region in response to recent escalation by Iran. Austin also ordered the aircraft carrier USS Eisenhower to Central Command area of operation, i.e. getting ready for battle. He further stated that he will continue to evaluate the position of the U.S. forces in the Middle East and consider deployment additional capabilities as necessary. This decision follows detailed discussions with Biden and includes the transfers of the Eisenhower aircraft carrier and its battle group to the region, as well as the deployment of THAAD missile intercept batteries and additional Patriot batteries. Source Department of Defense. That's the U.S. Department of Defense. I also got a video here. What
The
you?
Pentagon has deployed 2 aircraft carriers to the eastern Mediterranean, the Ford carrier and the Eisenhower carrier, along with their supporting ships. Washington says these massive warships are intended to send a message to the region, as war rages on between its ally Israel and Iran-backed Palestinian militants Hamas. Here's a closer look at what that means. The Gerald R. Ford carrier is the U.S.'s newest aircraft carrier and the world's largest. It holds 5,000 sailors, a nuclear reactor, and an arsenal of missiles used to counter drones and aircraft. It can also hold more than 75 military aircraft, including fighter jets, and comes along with several supporting warships. The nuclear-powered Dwight Eisenhower Carrier Strike Group first carried out operations during Iraq's invasion of Kuwait. It has 5,000 sailors and can carry up to 9 squadrons of aircraft, like fighter jets, helicopters, and those capable of carrying out intelligence, surveillance, and reconnaissance operations. The carriers would bolster Washington's presence in a region that already hosts a number of U.S. military ships, planes, and troops. U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken said on Sunday the aircraft carriers are not meant to be a provocation but a deterrence, to ensure the conflict does not expand throughout the region. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin called them a sign of, quote, our resolve to deter any state or non-state actor seeking to escalate this war. But it might not be seen that way to others. Turkey, a long supporter of a two-state solution, has said the ships are meant to commit, quote, serious massacres in the Gaza Strip. And Iran has already threatened significant damages to the U.S. should the war escalate.
Well, there you have it. That's pretty much a sum up of what's happening. On Sunday morning, China's Coast Guard vessel 5203 CCGV 5023 blocked and collided with a Philippine contracted civilian boat Unesia May 2nd UM2 used by the armed forces of the Philippines on a resupply mission to the BRP Sirira Mitra on Anyugini Sulaha, something like that, in the western Philippine Sea. Another thing of the Russians, or sorry, the Chinese, they fuck around with the Filipinos, which, I mean, they not only fuck around with them, they block them, they act as if they're better, and they actually annoy them. They operate. This is the Coast Guard, by the way. This is the Coast Guard ship. And they operate so far from their coast. They operate in the Philippine Sea. Which the Philippine Sea is not the Chinese coast, if you hadn't known. This is Philippine military boats. Not only is it a Philippine military boat, but it's also international waters. Probably. Maybe. Not even. Maybe it's not even international borders. You know, you don't even know. It's colliding with it. Look at that. It's just collided with it right there. They're just bullies. They're just bullies, and they just do that. They just annoy them, you know? Just trying to get some kind of response out of them or something like that. And luckily for us, the Filipinos, in many ways, are conducting themselves a bit more, how can you put it, grown up, and not actually doing some stupid shit, you know? The Ukrainian army is now. That's it I got on news. We're gonna get to those Chinese ships, but I think if I go into watch out for Flash here, he's gonna deliver the news for you. So we're gonna go into Flash here, see if he's got some news for us. He does not. Thank fucking God. Fucking. That's annoying, but whatever. We'll survive. Survive. Maybe he's got yesterday. Maybe not. Okay. Well, I'll leave you. Be back in about 5 minutes, something like that. I'll be back very soon. We're back. We're back. Okay. Well, let's see. Anything else? The travel alerts by U.S. the State Department for Lebanon have gotten more and more direct and worrisome over the last few days, with today's alert stating that if you are still for some reason in Lebanon, you'll need to leave the country now. Also, they're even offering emergency loans so that American nationals can pay for commercial flights out of the country. If you're offering commercial loans to get people out of the country, that means you're probably pretty serious about that. But yeah, let's check out Deep State. We can get to that. Around here. Well, what's down here that we probably saw most of the action? Okay. Well, not a lot. Not a lot. Some troop movement. Maybe. I don't know. What is over here? Nope, not a lot. Not a lot. But, hey, you know. May have surely been some kind of small-time troop movement along the cross-eyed borders or something like that. Over here. Some pushes by the Russians. Small pushes. Taking that. Well, I mean, not even taken, really. Really just kind of took the area here, and I guess that counts. Pushed the Ukrainians back a tiny bit there. Very, very tiny bit. Well, I don't know. Sometimes Deep State isn't completely on top, but I think we can concur. The factor is that they've probably done their good stuff. 12 garbage trucks dump tons of garbage next to the freeway or the outer ring in Moscow and disappears. Oh shit, look at that. Look at that. Oh, that's how you do it. Drops. Look at all that trash right there. Drop it right on the highway and then they just disappear. Ah. Because they're trash. That's at Moscow. That's gonna take some while to get out of there. Is that a railway? No, it's not. It's just a sidewalk there or something. What's that? Jesus Christ! This will take some time to get away. That's how you do it. Let's get that. We'll give that a retweet and a like. Thank you for that. That was a good video. Due to the recent attacks by militia across the escalation observed the deploying the terminal height. What? So they keep saying that these videos that are being shown, they're like, oh yeah, this is obviously part of things and all that. You know, this is a video. It's armor free. Most of those videos. Most of those goddamn videos right there, right? And most of them are from a game called Armor Free. And people keep uploading them saying they're from Gaza. Which is not true. They're not. They're not from Gaza. They're or any country. It's from a fucking game. So people really need to get their stuff straight. Getting posting all kinds of stuff. And people just need to get their fucking shit straight, you know? It's fucking ridiculous. Spider Boots, Mini Enterprise makes even 7 pairs per day. So boots are to railway loss. He keeps saying this one right here. He keeps saying that one right there. They're making these boots. And the plan for the boots are to be used for anti-clearing, probably. Anti-mine clearing. Well, mine clearing. But they're saying that stepping on a mine, not stepping on a mine, but maybe in the area, or if you are so unlucky to do so. Really? The guy just step on a fucking mine? Really? Look at that. And he didn't lose his leg. How the fuck? What the fuck? How does that even work? What? That's... I mean, obviously not that one. I mean, that's probably an anti-infantry mine right there, right? What? How does that work? Well, apparently they work. The company said they make 7 a day. Apparently they work. But they got some kind of explosive underneath. I don't know. Free speech. Welcome in. Because he stepped on the butterfly anti-personnel mine. It shocked me, so I stated since I had to think about ways to prevent such injury working on the project. Protection gear. I turned to the Ukraine State Emergency Service with the deer. I had a prototype of some kind of steel boots at... Steel boots, so they're steel boots. The objective is dear Carolee and inspired us to follow this type of boots instead. The prototype is from Canada. Yeah. So they 3D print it. Look at that. Yeah, that's 100%. I was about to say they 100% 3D print it, but they do. Another 3D printing going out there, so it's plastic. It's not even metal. It's got to be plastic then. Do they work? I mean, you step on a fucking mine and they goddamn work. Anti-mines, of course. Listen, very likely they can step on anti-personnel mines and, you know, they work, right? And they absorb it somehow. I can't really figure it out in my mind. I mean, I guess some kind of absorption system, but I mean, obviously the anti-personnel, you have the anti-tank mines, you have the anti-armor vehicles, you know, anti-vehicle mines or anti-tank mines. I doubt the anti-tank mine can be absorbed by that thing, but apparently infantry mines probably can. Sorry. That is interesting. Another idea from the Ukrainians there. Tell you what, they gotta be using that all over the goddamn world. You use that all over the world right now. Send it all the countries. Send it to Cambodia. You need to send it to Cambodia because in Cambodia they got a problem. You got the USA to drop a lot of mines over there. Well, they drop them, but they also dropped them. But they also, put them there. So about that. Right. Well, I think that's it for me tonight. I've given you all I don't have much more. If anything serious happens, we'll come back live. Doesn't appear as anything has happened as of yet, other than the 6 Chinese warships that apparently have moved into the Mediterranean for a friendly visit. I'm going to talk about that because the factor is I think they've moved in because China can't lose the interest of what they have in the Middle East. People keep saying that they're coming in as friends. I don't think they're coming in as friends. I think they're coming in to give away some goddamn bombs. I don't know what they're coming in for. I mean, imagine the reality is that they can't really afford to lose the Middle Eastern or at least the path and the trade routes. And if all that war occurs, you know, China, not only would they have to get more dependent on Russia for its oil needs, but it's, you know, So I think personally, I think China is there to prevent something from happening. If I'm being completely honest with you, but yeah. Other than that, I don't know. But we'll have to, of course, look into that. It's all been reported today. We know the 6 ships did come into the Mediterranean. But yeah, have a good night. Thank you for stopping by when you were here. Thank you for being here.